Hi, here's my speak, so let's get started. This my presentation is about Martin Luther King, but before we start with the general concept or the biography of Martin Luther King, let's start with the index. General of Martin Luther King. I mean, in general, for example, her action is her importance in the American history, importance in the Black history, what are the radical changes that he made, and all the things that are around that topic. Um, The second one is where and when he born, background history. The third one is education, family, and society. The fourth one is why he was important, and the fifth one, why he should be remembered. And in the last part, there is the bibliography. So let's start with the general. Martin Luther King was a pastoral actionist in the American church, also a very important character in American history and the rightness of Americans and equality in population. Their non-violent actions inspired the example of Gandhi, mobilized the growing of part of African American community until the historic march on Washington in summer of 1973, which grant to 250 to South demonstrators. And more info, we have this. Okay, life, background history. On January 15 of 1929, Martin Luther King was born in Atlanta, Georgia. He was the son of Baptist minister. On his background history, as a kid, we can say that was kind of bad as a result of the racism and the terrible enterprise that had that the age. Also, when he was a kid, has the witness of atrocities of injustice on his community. He received a doctorate degree in technology in 1955, helped organize of the first major protests in African American civil rights movement, the successful Montgomery post boycott, and influenced by Mahatma Gandhi, he advocated disobedience and noble the resistance to segregation in the South. The peaceful protests he led throughout the American South were often met with the violence, but King and his followers persist and the movement gained momentum. To background history to the evolution of Martin Luther King. A powerful orator, King of the Christian and American ideals of one group support the federal government and Northern with us. In 1963, Abraham Rothstein and A. Philip Randolph led the massive March of Washington for Jobs and Freedom. The Evans Grant found a King's famous I have a final the King's famous I have a dream speech. 252 South people greater outside the Lincoln Memorial and here is her speech. And timeline, or more specifically, the importances. We have the reasons why she should be remembered and the reason he was important. We have already mentioned many times his presentation is important as an ethical change and society immeasurably radical, not only for the community that are explicitly support, but also the entire civilization. The point of that interview is that more than set a revolutionary cause inserted in the mind of peace enlightenment, but the transcendent that made those achievements only with the human state. That was the reason, but there are more than enough reasons to follow in the generation with no important on how was and why should be remembered, not only for his work, but also with the symmetrical exchange of support the entire population gave him, universal votes and the fact and simple clear truth what is fair and fair balls of witness. Okay, and more info. We have his education and he is and his family and society. His family doesn't have any problems. I mean, for example, he have a normal influence, but the problem is that the racist and the discrimination for the people of his community was very strong. So there's a difficulty in his family history. Also, in of the education, he was a pretty good education, but against the secondary office, the secondary school that he was, or the high school that he he went, the example here is like the education was in technology, obviously, but you might asking why technology, why he wasn't or didn't too much for the technology innovation or the computational innovation, because in the age, her genius born when the atrocities of the humanity of that age make recurrent. So he need to make a change, and that change was the radical movement that he made. Thank you. Thank you so much to hear my speech, and I'm very excited that